So, picture this Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone's gathered, turkey's on the table, and my sister, she spends the entire evening mocking me, bragging about her fancy new director role, and laughing about firing people for her bonus. But here's the kicker, I secretly own the company she's talking about. Yeah, the tension was insane. What happened next? Trust me, you don't want to miss it. By the way, where are you all watching from today? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious, I shouldn't have even gone to that dinner. I was still shaky from walking pneumonia, my body heavy like lead, every step a negotiation with gravity. But, you know, Thanksgiving, my mom had been guilt-tripping me for 3 days straight, subtle at first, then full-on emotional manipulation. It's just family. Claire, you can rest on the couch. Edward misses you. Chloe is finally coming home. Yeah, guilt works fast when you're already feeling weak. So, against my own better judgment and against the screaming protests of my immune system, I walked into the house and immediately felt it, the thick, tense air, like static before a storm. The dining room smelled amazing, roast turkey, sage, all the classic notes, but underneath, there was this weird, sharp undercurrent, something I couldn't shake. It settled into my bones, made my chest tighter. I sat at the end of the mahogany table, trying to make myself small, literally and figuratively. My clothes hung loosely from weight loss during the illness, my skin pale, a thin sheen of sweat betraying my discomfort. I dabbed at my forehead with a napkin, trying to appear collected, but every muscle ached. I felt exposed, fragile, like everyone could see straight through me, and maybe they could. The family narrative had already been written in their heads. They didn't see me as Claire, the woman recovering from pneumonia, quietly strong. No, they saw Claire, the struggling, fragile, almost pitiable figure who had lucked into some investments but didn't have a real job. It was like walking into a room where the whole family was tuned to a channel I couldn't change. And then, of course, there was Chloe, my sister. She was radiant, glowing, wearing this designer dress that probably cost more than my first car. She took the seat of honor like she owned the room. And in some ways, she did, or at least that's how she carried herself. She hadn't asked me how I was feeling, not once. She barely looked in my direction, sweeping through the front door with that kind of confidence that makes everyone else look small. "It's just tragic, really," she said, voice dripping with that faux sympathy that stings more than any insult. She swirled her wine like she was auditioning for some reality show. "I mean, look at you. Claire, you look exhausted. Is the consulting gig drying up? Is that why you look so run down?" I tried to answer weakly, rasping from the pneumonia. "I have pneumonia. Chloe, I'm recovering." But she waved it off like it was nothing. "Stress lowers the immune system, you know, and financial instability is the #1 cause of stress. I read that in Forbes." Right. Of course, because she always knows best, right? My mother bustled in with mashed potatoes, trying to smooth over the conversation. "Now, Chloe, be nice. Claire does her best. We all have different paths." But Chloe leaned in, eyes gleaming, like a cat ready to pounce. "It must be hard watching me skyrocket while you just kind of float. But don't worry. This new position I landed, huge, director level. Salary alone is staggering. Maybe I can help you with rent this month." I gripped my tea mug so hard my knuckles turned white. Help. She had no idea. None of them did. I wasn't desperate. I didn't need her money. But I didn't say that out loud. I kept my voice steady, though my hands trembled just enough for her to miss it if she wasn't looking closely. "I don't need your money." "Chloe." "Of course," my dad chimed in, casual and oblivious. "Take help if it's offered. Your sister is doing very well for herself. You should be happy for her. I forced a smile, lied through my teeth. I am happy for her. Chloe smirked. Because here's the thing, she thought she was untouchable, that she could sit there and belittle me, flaunt her success, and I'd just sit there and take it. But she didn't know the truth. She had no clue. Meanwhile, I could feel the simmering resentment in me growing, like a storm cloud gathering. Every condescending comment, every wave of her manicured hand felt heavier than the last. And here's the weird part, I didn't even react outwardly, at least not visibly. But inside, oh, it was a hurricane. I could feel the power building quietly. A slow, controlled fire that promised it wasn't over, not by a long shot. So there I sat, sipping tea, while Chloe paraded her so-called brilliance. My body weak, my mind sharp, and resentment simmering, waiting for the moment when things would tip. The whole room buzzed with tension I could taste, thick and sticky, while my sister laughed and basked in her perceived superiority. And honestly, I let her, for now, just to see how far she'd go. Then Chloe leaned back, swirling her wine like she owned the universe, and dropped the bomb. The company I just joined, total mess, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to be ruthless. I blinked because, okay, wait, did she just, yes, she was talking about Vidian Dynamics, that mid-sized tech firm that had just been acquired by some silent holding group. And then it hit me like an icy wave. I am that holding group. I own that company. I had finalized the acquisition 3 weeks ago from my hospital bed while battling pneumonia. My fingers itched to intervene, but I stayed silent, just listening. She went on, completely unaware, detailing her master plan, each word slicing through the room like a scalpel. Phase 1, audit the staff. Anyone over 45, gone. They're too expensive, and they don't get the digital landscape. I'm replacing them with fresh grads who'll work 80 hours a week for half the price. She leaned in, eyes sparkling with excitement, like she was telling a bedtime story about puppies. Except the story was about destroying people's livelihoods. My stomach lurched. This was exactly why I had bought the company, the team, their experience, the institutional knowledge, the human capital that couldn't be replaced with interns and spreadsheets. And here she was, planning to rip it all apart. I could feel the room tilting slightly, forks scraping against plates fading into a dull, distant buzz. Everyone else was caught in Chloe's orbit, drinking in her words, nodding along, or at least pretending to. I, on the other hand, was processing, calculating. Each word she spoke made my pulse quicken, not in fear, but in the quiet thrill of power. I didn't need to raise my voice. She had just revealed her entire plan to the owner, the silent one, the person who could stop her before she even started. And that owner, yeah, that was me. Chloe's eyes gleamed with self-satisfaction as she continued, oblivious. The previous director was soft, cared too much about morale, work-life balance. I told the VP during my interview, I don't care if they like me. I care if they perform. And then she smirked, leaning back like a general surveying a battlefield. Edward chimed in with his usual misplaced pride. That's the spirit. You have to be tough. Claire, are you listening? You could learn something from your sister. I could barely manage a nod. My mind was racing, circling the enormity of the situation. I was listening. Oh yes, I was listening. And every instinct was screaming that the chessboard had shifted under her feet. And I held all the pieces. Her descriptions kept coming. And my disbelief turned into a cold, calculating clarity. The VP of Operations, Greg Miller, she was clearly leveraging the staff, the budget, the bonuses. It was all laid bare. A corporate playbook spelled out with reckless pride. And me, I had the keys. I could freeze everything, halt the payroll, stop the whole charade before a single person got hurt. But I didn't. I stayed calm, sipping my tea, letting her arrogance build, letting her confidence feed the storm I was quietly gathering inside. She didn't ask me once about the company, not even a hint of curiosity. She assumed she was the master of a kingdom I had created but never claimed. The betrayal of her arrogance was almost poetic. She thought she was untouchable, that the world owed her this ascent. She had no idea she was standing on the precipice of her own undoing. And yet, the tension in the room was palpable. I felt my pulse settle into a quiet rhythm of anticipation. Every smirk, every flick of her manicured hand, every casual mention of layoffs and bonuses was fuel for the next move. And then, the conversation shifted seamlessly into the luxury details, condo purchases, company cars, designer outfits. She was basking in the admiration of our parents, their subtle nods, their oblivious pride, completely unaware that their golden child was standing in front of the person who had made all of this possible. Every ounce of entitlement she exuded was a mirror, reflecting all the years of unacknowledged work, sweat, and strategy I had poured into creating the empire she now assumed was hers to conquer. The room felt hotter, tighter, every tick of the clock echoing like a drum. I could feel the weight of knowledge pressing down, the electric thrill of silent authority. Chloe was verbose, excited, proud, and completely, utterly unaware that every word she spoke was a confession, a blueprint of her intentions, laid bare for the one person who could control the outcome. My hands gripped the napkin a little tighter, not from fear or anger, but from the anticipation of what was possible. I had waited for this moment without even knowing it. She had delivered it willingly. I found my thoughts drifting to the people she planned to fire: veteran employees, loyal to the company for years, people with mortgages, families, lives built around the stability I had ensured. They had no idea of the storm brewing in the silent corner of the room. And Chloe, she continued, blind to everything but her reflection in the wine glass, detailing who would go, who would stay, who would be replaced. The meticulous cruelty of her plan was staggering. And yet, in this moment, I felt a strange sense of calm. It wasn't just about stopping her, it was about correcting a course that she didn't even realize she had veered off. I couldn't help but reflect this wasn't just about family rivalry or even pride. It was about the power to protect, to preserve, to intervene before irreparable damage was done. And the crazy part, she didn't even realize she had handed me the tools to do just that. The quiet authority I wielded was invisible to everyone else, except for me. And I was savoring the silence, the restraint, the control. I was fully aware that the tension in the room, the crackle in the air, was mine to mold. And the next few hours or days would determine who really had the upper hand. I leaned back slightly, trying to look as frail as I felt physically, while internally, the gears were spinning, connecting dots, planning responses, and cataloging vulnerabilities. She kept talking, unaware that she had just walked into the eye of the storm. She detailed timelines, audits, targets, bonuses, all of it a roadmap for disaster. All of it accessible to me with a few clicks, a few taps on the encrypted laptop safely tucked away at home. The irony was delicious. The justice quiet, but undeniable. Chloe was loud, fast, aggressive, a hurricane of ambition and entitlement. And me, I was the calm after the storm, the silent architect of the world she was trying to dominate. And I realized something, quietly, almost with a smirk to myself. She was playing checkers, loud and aggressive. I was playing chess, and my queen was already in position. As Chloe droned on about her new role, I couldn't help but drift back in time, remembering how all of this started long before corporate drama or director titles. I was 22, fresh out of college, barely scraping by, working out of a damp basement, living on ramen noodles and instant coffee. And Chloe, she was 14, bubbly, dramatic, the one everyone always fussed over. Dance lessons, cheer camps, tutors, everything she wanted, my parents scrambled to provide. And when that wasn't enough, I stepped in, quietly, without recognition. I paid for her tuition, sorority dues, study abroad trips in Italy. Fun fact, she never knew it came from me. I funneled the money through mom and dad, letting her believe it appeared magically. Looking back, I can see now how it fed into her sense of entitlement, how it shaped the person sitting across from me, so sure of her place in the world. It's funny, in a bittersweet way. I never wanted accolades, never wanted credit, so I just wanted things to work, for her to thrive, for the family to function. And thrive she did so much so that she forgot the foundation that supported her. She grew up with this idea that the world owed her something, that her brilliance and charm were all it took to succeed. Meanwhile, I was building quietly, slowly, brick by brick. I didn't need applause. My strength was invisible, unnoticed. But it was there, steady, unshakable. I remember nights lying awake, thinking about the sacrifices I had made. Each one felt like a quiet stitch in the fabric of our lives, keeping things together, paying for Chloe's fancy programs while I pinched pennies for my own rent, my own food, my own barely there social life. It was exhausting at times, but it was my choice. I wanted to invest in her, in our family, in the illusion of stability we all clung to. And yet, now, watching her revel in her supposed supremacy, I realized how much of that investment had been misunderstood, misinterpreted. She thought it was her due, her right, her stepping stone to superiority. I sighed, leaning back slightly, thinking about how different we'd turned out. Me, the silent achiever, the one who worked, planned, and executed behind the scenes. Chloe, the extroverted whirlwind, confident, loud, taking credit for her own successes while unaware of the scaffold I'd built for her. She had charisma, yes, and she played the social game well, but strength, the quiet, unflashy, uncelebrated kind that carries weight through crises, that was mine. And it had always been there. Even if no one noticed, even if I had to watch her bloom in ways I quietly made possible. It's strange how family dynamics work. Parents see what they want, or what they think matters. Chloe got the praise, the attention, the encouragement, all carefully curated. I got nods, polite compliments, the occasional acknowledgement of effort that didn't really penetrate the narrative. And maybe that's why, deep down, I didn't feel cheated. I felt responsible. I felt the quiet pride of knowing I could support her, knowing I could hold things together. I never wanted to manipulate or control, just to make sure no one fell through the cracks, even if that meant my own comfort and recognition were sacrificed. And that's the contrast. Really, here she was, across the table, all confidence, all swagger, talking about firing experienced employees, boosting bonuses, living like she'd earned every luxury, while I sat there, frail from illness, but aware of something she could never grasp. I built the platform she stood on. Every flashy move she made, every smirk and condescending remark was powered by groundwork she had no clue existed. I wasn't bitter, well, maybe a little, but it was more than that. It was clarity. The kind of clarity that comes when you see the truth of a person, their sense of entitlement, and realize just how much work you've done in silence. I thought about the way she looked at the world, confident and unshakable, but shallow. And I contrasted it with my own approach, methodical, patient, and grounded. She thought she was unstoppable, but I had the knowledge, the leverage, the quiet strength that didn't need applause. I had always known, even as a teenager, that success isn't about showy gestures or loud declarations. It's about consistency, perseverance, and strategic thinking. And now, all those years later, sitting there sipping my tea while she laid out plans that could ruin people, I realized just how much of a gulf existed between us. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had funded her education, her lifestyle, her opportunities, essentially giving her the keys to a kingdom she never earned herself. And now she sat there, glowing with arrogance, unaware of the debt of effort and sweat behind every privilege she enjoyed. The thought stung. Yes, but it also steeled me. I had no regrets. What I had done was right. But the realization of what it had created, the way it had shaped her character, that was sobering. I could see, with crystal clarity, the monster that my generosity had helped nurture. And yet, I wasn't angry in the explosive way some might expect. It was more like a slow burn, a quiet, firm understanding that the world was about to correct itself. I had the leverage, the insight, and the experience to do it. She had the arrogance, the ignorance, and the loud, careless momentum. The contrast was sharp, almost beautiful in its symmetry. One of us built quietly, unseen, grounded in reality. The other strutted boldly, blinded by entitlement and the illusion of control. And that, in a way, made the path forward clear. I knew what I had to do, and more importantly, I knew the power I had always carried, silently, waiting for the right moment. After the Thanksgiving chaos, things didn't settle, at least not in my mind. Chloe, ever the opportunist, turned her attention to the family cabin, that little A-frame by the lake Grandpa had left us. I remember her eyes lighting up like she'd discovered treasure. "Since I'm going to be making serious money now," she said, leaning forward across the table, "maybe you should sell me your share of the cabin." I blinked, trying to keep my voice steady. "The cabin, I'm not selling it." Her lip curled into that petulant pout she perfected over years of getting her way. "Why not? You can't afford the upkeep. The roof needs work. The dock's rotting. I have the capital to turn it into something impressive. You could use the money to buy some decent clothes, a makeover. Come on." "Claire?" Her tone was light, teasing, but the weight behind it was heavy with entitlement. Every syllable screamed, "I deserve this." I shook my head slowly, almost in disbelief, feeling the tension coil in my chest. "The cabin isn't for sale," I repeated, firmer this time. My voice cut through the ambient chatter of the post-dinner quiet. She leaned back, arms crossed, smug, like she'd already won. That look, oh, I knew it too well. It was the same expression she had worn when she thought she'd manipulated Mom into thinking she was the family's golden child. But this time, I wasn't budging. "Mom, tell her," Chloe whined, voice rising slightly, a hint of desperation peeking through. "She's being selfish. She never uses it anyway." My mom, caught between maternal instinct and logic, hesitated. "Claire, honey," she started softly, "your sister makes a good point. It would stay in the family. And, you know, money isn't easy right now." I felt my patience fray. Just a fraction. Enough to sharpen my words. "Money isn't tight for me," I said, letting each word drop like a pebble in still water. Chloe's eyes narrowed, and I could see her recalculating, trying to find an angle. Some crack in my resolve she could exploit. "Oh, please," she sneered. "Stop pretending. We all know you're barely scraping by. You drive a Honda. Claire, a Honda. Successful people don't drive Hondas. You're a consultant. That's just code for unemployed. Just sell me the cabin. Take the check. Be grateful I'm generous enough to offer a bailout." Her words hit, sharp and biting, but I let them wash over me. I looked her directly in the eye, calmly, the kind of calm that unsettles people more than anger ever could. "I'm not selling," I said softly. "The cabin isn't for sale." Chloe flinched slightly, like the words had been a physical shove. She tried again, a bit louder. more insistent, leaning forward now, the predator glint in her eyes unmistakable. "You really think you're better than everyone, don't you?" she said, a challenge wrapped in venom. I let out a slow breath, watching the muscles in her jaw tighten. "I don't think I'm better," I replied, measured, calm. "I just value what's mine and what matters. And this cabin, it matters. To me." My heart thumped in my chest, a mix of fever residue and adrenaline, but my face stayed composed. She scoffed, rolling her eyes, her body language screaming irritation and disbelief. "The market decides value, Claire, and right now, the market says I'm a director and you're a nobody. Sign over the cabin, take the check, and be grateful." I paused, letting her words hang in the air, a subtle internal smirk tugging at the corner of my mouth. The power in that room wasn't hers. Not yet. "I'll think about it," I said, steady and deliberate. Not a yes, not a no, just enough ambiguity to unsettle her. She leaned back, crossing her arms, tapping her fingers against her arm in impatience. "Don't think too long," as she warned. "My offer expires Monday when I start work. After that, the price goes down." Monday. I repeated the word silently in my mind, noting the tiny emphasis she placed on it. The clock was ticking, or so she thought. I stood up, legs shaky from lingering fever, but firm. "I'm going to head out. I need to rest," I said. Chloe's face twisted into mockery. "Leaving so soon? Can't handle the heat." Something in me cracked just enough to let a wry grin slip through. "Something like that," I replied, turning toward the door. She watched me go, flaring with frustration, powerless in a way that she hated. Every step I took to leave was a quiet reclaiming of authority, of space, of my right to decide. The cold November air hit my face, sharp and bracing, and I felt a little lighter despite the weight of the confrontation. Inside, though, I knew the battle over the cabin was far from over, but for now, I had drawn the line, and she had stumbled against it. The tension lingered, thick and unyielding, like smoke in a closed room, but I felt ready, grounded, and resolute. After leaving the house that night, I didn't go home to sleep. No, I went straight to my apartment, the one Chloe always mocked small, modest, nothing flashy, just functional. I sat at my desk, the kind of desk that looked ordinary to anyone else, but in my hands, it was a command center. My laptop glowed with the blue hue of my encrypted network, the private server of Helios Holdings. Officially, I was a consultant, vague enough for anyone asking questions. But in reality, I held 51% of the voting stock. I owned Vidian Dynamics outright, silently. And tonight, that leverage was everything. I opened the HR portal for Vidian and navigated to the new hires folder at the executive level. There she was, Chloe D. I pulled up her onboarding file, scanning quickly, offer letter, check, salary staggering, yes, well above standard. But then I noticed something. Approval signatures. 2 signatures checked out the VP of Operations, Greg Miller, and the head of HR. But the CEO missing. Instead, there was an override code, something only the VP could authorize alone. My brows furrowed. Wait, that's not normal. Why bypass Marcus, the CEO, for this? My curiosity surged, bordering on urgency. I opened a new window, diving into Greg Miller's company communications. Not my usual route, but the potential for legal and corporate disaster was high, and Chloe had just handed me probable cause on a silver platter. Minutes later, I stumbled across an email thread between Greg and Chloe dating back 2 months. My stomach dropped. Subject line the position, the first message. From Chloe, Greg. Darling, I need this. Salary has to be at least redacted. I promise, once I'm in, I'll clean house. We can get rid of the old guard you hate so much. Just get me the offer. I'll make it worth your while. Remember that thing in Vegas? We don't want that getting out. I leaned back in my chair, a sharp hiss escaping my lips. Blackmail. That explained the bypass, the inflated salary, the aggressive plans for mass firings. I couldn't believe the audacity, and yet, here it was, in black and white. I pinched the bridge of my nose, letting the shock wash over me, then pushed it aside. No room for emotion now. I needed strategy. I grabbed my phone and dialed Sarah, my personal attorney. It was 3 at man, but she answered immediately, her voice groggy but alert. Claire, is it the pneumonia? Are you okay? I could hear the concern, and it made me appreciate the quiet professionalism I had cultivated over the years. I'm fine, Sarah, or at least I will be. Listen, I need you to open a file. Priority 1. I paused, letting her brace for impact. The target is my sister and the VP at Vidian Dynamics. Chloe, she's leveraged a personal secret to force a hiring above budget and is planning illegal mass firings. I could hear her shift in bed, suddenly fully awake. Understood. What do you need me to do? She asked. Alert, efficient. Forensic audit on Greg Miller's accounts immediately. Legal. Hold on Chloe's employment contract. Freeze her credentials. Don't terminate her yet. Just pause everything. I want everything documented before anyone has a chance to fix or hide anything. I could hear the determination in my own voice. Calm but sharp. Copy that. Papers will be drafted by sunrise, she said. I hung up and leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen. The adrenaline from the confrontation at Thanksgiving was still pulsing through me, mixing with the fever's residue, keeping my senses sharp and focused. Every click, every window I opened, every file I scrutinized was part of the puzzle, a map to understanding just how far Chloe had gone. I went through emails, HR records, and internal memos, tracing timelines, verifying credentials, cross-referencing the claims Chloe had made about her experience. The more I dug, the clearer the picture became. She had lied about her role in her previous company, inflated titles, fudged employment dates to cover gaps. She had also reached out proactively, trying to leverage personal relationships into corporate gain. The audacity was staggering. The illegal intent, obvious. She thought she could waltz into Vidian and reshape it on her own terms. No oversight. But I could see every move, every back channel, every attempted shortcut she had tried to engineer. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I contemplated the next steps, checking and rechecking everything, ensuring the evidence trail was airtight. Emails, signed documents, override codes, timestamps, it was all there, neatly compiled in a way that would withstand scrutiny. I leaned back and let out a slow breath. The hum of my server, a comforting constant in the quiet apartment. Control was mine. I had been patient, quiet, unnoticed, and now I had the ultimate leverage. Chloe didn't even realize the storm she had stepped into. The hours ticked by, each one building a sense of urgency and intensity. I made notes, flagged documents, and began forming a strategic plan for how to handle this, not impulsively, not vindictively, but methodically. I visualized the next step: stopping the illegal hires, freezing payroll, documenting blackmail, protecting employees, and most importantly, reclaiming control over a company Chloe thought she could command. Every so often, I muttered under my breath, testing scenarios, running through what-if situations. Okay, if she starts Monday, freeze credentials first, alert legal, document the blackmail, don't confront yet. Evidence first, small pauses, deep breaths, recalibrating my approach. I could feel my body, weak from illness, buzzing with purpose. The juxtaposition of fragility and control was oddly exhilarating. I glanced at the clock. Dawn wasn't far off, and yet I was wide awake, fully engaged in what felt like a live chess match. Chloe had exposed herself, unknowingly, giving me the advantage of foresight, the chance to act before she could cause irreparable harm. I leaned back, briefly allowing myself a quiet, grim smile. The night had been long, the revelation staggering, but the sense of power, the quiet, absolute power of owning the board while the players flail on it, was intoxicating. And with that, I knew the stage was set. Tomorrow, or maybe even sooner, the game would shift dramatically, and I would be ready. For now, I just kept working. Line by line, email by email, building a fortress of proof, strategy, and control that no one, not even Chloe, could ignore. The next day, I parked my car strategically in the driveway, right in front of the house, blocking Chloe's shiny Audi rental. The November air was crisp, biting, but it sharpened my focus. I took a deep breath, adjusted the tailored charcoal Italian suit I had laid out the night before, and gripped my leather briefcase like it was armor. Inside, every document I needed to dismantle Chloe's facade, every piece of evidence of fraud, blackmail, and corporate overreach was neatly organized. This wasn't about theatrics, though I wanted control, and I wanted clarity. Today, the truth would land like a hammer. I didn't knock. I walked right in, briefcase in hand, letting the air of calm authority set the tone before anyone could speak. Sophia froze mid-pour of coffee, eyes tracing my polished shoes, the suit, the confident posture. Edward looked up, pen hovering over the checkbook, confused, uncertain. Chloe, of course, didn't notice me at first. She was mid-monologue, recounting her supposed brilliance, tears just drying on her cheeks, wiping them occasionally with a tissue for effect. Aunt Rachel was seated quietly in the corner, arms crossed, observing, already skeptical. "Oh, the archway," Claire Mom asked nervously, stepping out of the kitchen. Her voice faltered as her eyes traveled over my entire appearance. "What are you wearing, a rental?" Chloe scoffed, glancing at me like I was some imposter. I let a faint smirk tug at my lips. "Trying to look the part for your legal defense," I said, setting the briefcase down with a thud that drew attention immediately. "It won't help you." The sound of the clasp snapping shut echoed like a drumbeat across the room. I could see the unease ripple through Chloe. I could almost taste the tension, thick and metallic. "Daddy is writing the retainer check right now," Chloe said, voice shaky, trying to regain control. "Put the pen down." "Dad," I said softly, but firmly, my eyes meeting his. The timbre of my voice carried the kind of authority that comes from knowing exactly what you're about to do. Edward blinked, confused, but didn't protest. "She's been caught," I said, letting it hang in the air. Caught doing what Chloe snapped, finally noticing the seriousness in my tone. Her eyes flicked to the briefcase, narrowing. "Being ambitious? Being better than me?" she asked, a tremor in her voice betraying the confidence she tried so hard to project. "You're just trying to sabotage me because you can't stand that I'm successful." "Successful," I echoed, raising an eyebrow. And slowly, deliberately, I opened the briefcase. Chloe leaned forward instinctively, curiosity and defiance battling in her expression. I pulled out the first set of documents, termination letters, emails, records. "Chloe, you've been unemployed for 2 years, fired from your last job for credit card fraud, and you got this position at Vidian by blackmailing the VP about an affair he had in Vegas." The room went deadly silent. The only sound was the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. Chloe's face turned a blotchy red. That's a lie," she stammered, the words tumbling out in panic. "Mom, she's lying. She's crazy." Sophia wailed, stepping closer, hands covering her face. "Am I asked quietly, letting the papers speak for themselves. I slid the termination letter across the table toward Edward. He stared at it, hand trembling. He didn't touch it, but his eyes tracked the bold header termination for cause. I pulled out the next set, a stack of emails between Chloe and Greg Miller, clearly outlining the blackmail and illegal hiring. And these, I said calmly, are the emails dated 2 months ago where you threatened to reveal his indiscretion unless he offered you the job at an inflated salary. Chloe shrieked, lunging for the papers. I caught her wrist firmly. It's company property. Chloe, and as the owner, I have the right to review it. Her hand froze midair. Her eyes widened, disbelief and fear battling across her face. Owner, she whispered, almost inaudibly. Yes, I said, calm, devastatingly calm. I own Helios Holdings, and Helios owns Vidian Dynamics. I bought it 3 weeks ago. I am the majority shareholder, the chair of the board. I am your boss. The air in the room shifted. Sophia dropped the coffee pot. It clattered but didn't break. Edward's mouth hung open. Aunt Rachel's eyes widened. Finally, piecing together the quiet authority I had always wielded behind the scenes, Chloe stammered, words failing her. No, that's impossible. You're broke. You drive a Honda. You live in that dump. I live below my means to reinvest in my business, I corrected softly, letting the weight of truth sink in. The location of my apartment near the fiber hub isn't a mistake, it's strategic. But that's irrelevant. What matters is that as of this morning, Greg Miller has been fired for gross misconduct, and your offer of employment has been formally rescinded. I pulled out one last document, a formal letter on cream-colored stock with the Helios logo embossed at the top. I slid it across the table. This is your notice. You are not welcome at Vidian or any Helios subsidiary. Attempt to contact employees again, and our legal team will file charges for extortion. Chloe stared at the paper, then the logo, then my signature. The reality was crashing down on her. The lucky sister, the one who always thought she was untouchable, had just been stripped of the fantasy she'd built. She turned to Edward, tears streaming down her face. Real tears this time. Daddy, do something. She's ruining my life. Edward looked at the checkbook, then the termination letter, then the blackmail emails. He looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in years. The suit, the posture, the confidence it all registered, slowly, painfully. He picked up the pen, but didn't use it. You lied to us, Chloe, he said, voice cracking. You said you were running that department in Chicago. You said you were a star. You stole, Chloe wailed. I did what I had to. Claire always had everything. She's always been the smart one, the good one. I just wanted to win for once. You don't win by cheating. Chloe, I said softly, meeting her gaze. Her voice broke in frustration. Shut up. I hate you. I hate your money. I hate your luck. It wasn't luck, Aunt Rachel interjected from the corner, voice cutting through the noise like a knife. She worked while you partied. Chloe, we all watched it. We just didn't say anything because Mom wouldn't let us. Sophia sobbed, finally facing the truth. Covering her face with her hands, Chloe looked around. The audience, the check, the job, all gone. She grabbed her purse. Fine. Keep your stupid company. Keep your stupid money. I'll find another job. You can try, I said quietly, letting the finality of my words sink in. Chloe glared one last time before running out the door. We heard the Audi door slam, engine roar, tires spinning away. Silence fell, heavy with the debris of shattered illusions and family dynamics. Sophia cried softly at the counter. Edward stared at his hands. Slow realization dawning. Aunt Rachel stood and walked over to me, quietly, and said, Nice suit. I managed a weak smile. Thanks. Aunt Rachel, I knew you'd understand. She nodded, silently approving, and I felt a small comfort in that acknowledgement. I walked over and sat across from my father. He looked older, wearier. The illusion of the perfect little girl evaporated, replaced by the truth of my quiet strength and decisive action. He opened his mouth, paused, and finally asked, "Is it true you own all of it?" Yes, Dad, why didn't you tell us? I asked gently. Would you have treated me differently? Or just asked me to give more money to Chloe? He flinched, unable to answer immediately, the weight of recognition settling heavily in the room. Sophia approached, eyes red and tears streaked. We just wanted her to be okay. Claire, she's not strong like you. She never needed us. She always needed Chloe to have help. I shook my head, firm but gentle. You didn't help her. You crippled her by covering for her, by hiding failures. She needed to grow up. Sophia nodded slowly, finally acknowledging the truth. I'm sorry. Claire, so sorry. We've been unfair to you. I smiled lightly. It's okay, but this has to stop. No more bailouts. No more loans. If Chloe gets into trouble, she has to solve it herself. Understand? Yes, Edward, he said, voice firming. No more. We stayed for another hour, talking, drinking coffee, really talking not about Chloe, but about my business, my life, and real achievements. It was awkward, tentative, but honest. By the time I left, the sun was setting, long shadows stretching across the driveway. I got into my car and sat for a moment, the quiet wrapping around me like a balm. For the first time in years, the weight of secrets and hidden authority lifted. The truth was out, and I felt, finally, light. After Chloe stormed out, slamming the Audi door and leaving a trail of chaos behind her, the house felt unusually quiet. The tension lingered, thick in the air, but slowly, like mist lifting from a lake. Clarity began to settle over everyone. Sophia was still by the counter, quietly cleaning up, sniffling, her shoulders heavy but loosening ever so slightly. Edward sat at the table, staring at his hands, processing what had just happened. Aunt Rachel straightened, brushing off the last traces of judgmental observation. But there was a subtle nod of approval in her eyes when she looked at me. I felt that small validation and let a private, fleeting smile slip across my face. The aftermath was strange and disorienting. Chloe was gone, leaving the house empty except for the lingering echoes of her entitlement and anger. And in that quiet, the family dynamic had begun to shift. The illusion of her invincibility was gone, replaced by the reality of her choices and my silent authority finally revealed. There was a subtle tension. Yes, but it was different now. It wasn't fear of confrontation. It was recognition, acknowledgement that the quiet, strategic, unassuming one had always held the real power. I stayed for a while longer, drinking a cup of coffee, letting the morning sun slice through the kitchen windows in slanted beams, illuminating the scattered remnants of breakfast and paper evidence. My parents moved slowly around me, hesitant, as if learning a new choreography of family dynamics, one where their expectations of Chloe no longer dominated the narrative. I felt a pang of relief, tempered with sadness for the years lost in misunderstanding and misaligned priorities. But there was also hope, the first real hope I had felt in a long time that things could be different. When I finally left, I didn't go straight back to my city apartment. No, I drove toward the cabin, that old A-frame by the lake, the place Chloe had tried to claim as leverage over me. The autumn light glinted off the water, and I felt something I hadn't in years, a deep, unshakable calm. The cabin was mine, yes, but more importantly, it represented continuity, a refuge, a place untouched by entitlement or deceit. I walked inside, taking in the familiar scent of pine and old wood, and felt a quiet surge of determination. This place would be restored, reclaimed, and redefined on my terms. I immediately started planning renovations. Roof repairs, dock reinforcement, insulation, and of course, a killer sound system for those quiet weekend mornings. Every decision felt purposeful, a tangible assertion of my values' integrity, care, and personal investment rather than flash or pretense. I could almost hear Chloe's voice in the back of my mind, mocking, reminding me of my humble apartment, my quiet life. And yet, it made me smile. I wasn't seeking validation, and I certainly wasn't proving her wrong. I was acting in alignment with my principles, and that was enough. The following weeks were a blend of physical labor and strategic oversight. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, people who understood what I wanted and respected it became my allies in transforming the cabin into a functional sanctuary. I visited every weekend, sometimes alone, sometimes bringing my parents or Aunt Rachel along. Slowly, the place began to feel like a space of balance and accomplishment, a counterpoint to the corporate chaos Chloe had tried to impose. Each nail hammered, each board replaced, each fixture updated was a small reclamation of control, of earned success. In the city, I began embracing my professional life more openly. I moved out of the modest apartment Chloe had mocked and into a place that reflected my achievements without needing to flaunt them. I accepted invitations to speak on panels, attended industry events, and let my presence be known not for showmanship, but because it was time to acknowledge what I had built. I still worked quietly, still methodical, still strategic, but I no longer felt the need to hide or minimize my success for the comfort of others' egos. The tension that had long lived in the shadows was gone, replaced by quiet confidence and control. Family interactions became a delicate dance at first, tentative and cautious, but over time, a sense of genuine connection began to reemerge. Conversations shifted from defensiveness and judgment to curiosity and respect. Though we still discussed Chloe occasionally, but now it was in the context of understanding patterns, learning lessons, and, when possible, guiding without enabling. My parents were learning, slowly, to recalibrate their expectations, to see my strength not as intimidating, but as a source of stability and wisdom. Aunt Rachel remained my quiet ally, always observing, always supportive in subtle ways, reinforcing the shift that had taken place. I often reflected on the contrast between earned success and entitlement, on the painstaking effort required to build something real versus the assumptions of privilege. Watching Chloe's unraveling, I realized that integrity, patience, and strategic thinking had a quiet, devastating power. Success that's built, nurtured, and earned holds weight and permanence that entitlement can never match. I thought about the cabin, the renovations, the weekends spent by the lake, the strategic growth of my companies. It all symbolized a life constructed with care, foresight, and ethical grounding. Chloe had chased quick victories, shortcuts, and illusions of control. I had cultivated lasting value. The weekends at the cabin became more than just leisure. They were moments of reflection and grounding. I sat by the water, listening to the wind rustle through the trees, thinking about the lessons embedded in every experience. The gentle lapping of waves against the dock reminded me that growth takes time and control is earned, not assumed. The cabin became a sanctuary of perspective, a place where I could see both the victories and the costs of the journey, understanding that both were necessary to shape who I had become. In the city, life continued at a measured, purposeful pace. I engaged with colleagues, attended board meetings, and expanded my portfolio with confidence and integrity. I maintained open, honest communication with my parents, slowly rebuilding trust and demonstrating that strength could be steady, dependable, and supportive without being overbearing. Each conversation, each interaction reinforced the understanding that accountability and ethical action mattered more than appearances or applause. My parents began to see not just the success, but the approach, the principles behind it. Chloe, in her absence, became a cautionary tale. Her move to a smaller city, working a high-end boutique, revealed the stark contrast between entitlement and earned opportunity. She had to adhere to rules, show up on time, manage responsibilities, and work without shortcuts. I hoped, genuinely, that she would learn the value of effort, the weight of integrity, and the cost of shortcuts. It wasn't about revenge, it was about understanding and consequences. I often returned to the cabin alone, reflecting on what I had built, both materially and metaphorically. Renovated walls, reinforced docks, a sound system echoing over calm water, it all mirrored my own evolution. I had reclaimed authority over my life, my assets, and my relationships. The story of Chloe's ambition, my family's blindness, and my own quiet strategy became a testament to resilience and integrity. I didn't just win over circumstances. I honored the principles that had guided me all along. Looking back, I saw that success isn't about what you're handed, and it's not about what you can grab quickly. It's about deliberate effort, ethics, and the patience to build something sustainable. The cabin, my restored professional life, and the recalibrated family dynamics became symbols of that philosophy. Every weekend by the lake, every panel attended, every strategic business decision reinforced the lesson: integrity and effort endure, entitlement and shortcuts falter. In those moments of reflection, I also allowed myself quiet gratitude for my parents, slowly learning and acknowledging truths, for Aunt Rachel, for the opportunity to stand firm without destroying the family, and for myself, my persistence, foresight, and strength. I had reclaimed my space, my achievements, and my peace. And the cabin, once a point of contention, had become a sanctuary, a place to rest, reflect, and appreciate the rewards of earned success. And so, life settled into a rhythm that felt authentic and honest. I no longer hid my achievements. I celebrated them quietly, firmly, without arrogance. The cabin was mine, the companies were secure, and the family dynamics, while imperfect, were grounded in reality rather than illusion. Chloe had left, lessons unlearned or partly learned, but the world, my world, was aligned with truth and integrity. And in that alignment, I found a deep, lasting satisfaction. The kind that comes from standing firmly in who you are, what you've earned, and the principles you live by. Success isn't given, and it isn't taken, it's built, nurtured, and defended with care. And the one thing you truly own in this world, your integrity. And that's the story: sometimes standing up for yourself quietly, patiently, and with integrity can change everything. Success isn't about luck or shortcuts. It's built, earned, and defended over time. Watching Chloe's arrogance crumble reminded me that true power comes from preparation and principle, not just bravado. If this story gave you even a little insight or inspiration, give it a like, maybe subscribe, and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear what lessons you take away from moments like these.